Monera, Protista and Mycota. And we have studied in detail about all those three kingdoms. And now about this fourth kingdom, kingdom Plantae, and the next kingdom is kingdom Animalia. Here we are discussing only the salient features of these two kingdoms. I am talking about kingdom Plantae and kingdom Animalia. So here in this class we are discussing only salient features of kingdom Plantae and Animalia. Why only salient features? Why we are not going to study completely about these two kingdoms? Because in your syllabus you have separate chapters, that is third chapter kingdom Plantae or plant kingdom, and fourth chapter is animal kingdom, where we will study in detail about these two kingdoms. But here in this chapter biological classification, just we need to discuss the salient features of kingdom Plantae and Animalia. So firstly we will discuss about kingdom Plantae. So this kingdom Plantae can also be called as plant kingdom. And now we are discussing only salient features regarding plant kingdom or kingdom Plantae. So what are the salient features of this plant kingdom or kingdom Plantae? You know, in this kingdom, in this plant kingdom, all members are multicellular, they are macroscopic, and they are eukaryotic organisms. So here they are multicellular, which means they are made up of many number of cells. They are macroscopic. If they are macroscopic, they can be visible. Let me write the few points. They are multicellular, macroscopic, and they are eukaryotic organisms. As I said, multicellular means they are made up of many number of cells. If they are macroscopic, which can be visible to naked eyes, and they are eukaryotic. If they are eukaryotes, they definitely have all membrane bound cell organelles along with the true nucleus. If they contain true nucleus and membrane bound cell organelles, such organisms are called as eukaryotic. So in this kingdom Plantae, the members are usually multicellular, macroscopic and eukaryotic plants. Then these members, the members are the organisms which comes under kingdom Plantae. They are predominantly autotrophic. They are autotrophic. So this is one of the characteristic feature of kingdom Plantae, because all plants can prepare their own food by utilizing sunlight. So here I have just mentioned autotrophic. They can synthesize their own food, and especially they are photoautotrophic. Photoautotrophic. If they are photoautotrophic, by utilizing sunlight, they can able to prepare their own food. So here they are autotrophic, especially they are photoautotrophic. Yeah, by utilizing sunlight, they can prepare their own food. But how they can able to prepare their own food? Because they contain a photosynthetic pigment called as chlorophyll. So chlorophyll, it is the photosynthetic pigment which is responsible for synthesizing the food. So this is another characteristic feature of plants. Try to remember, they are multicellular, macroscopic and eukaryotic. They are autotrophic, especially they are photoautotrophic. They can able to prepare their own food by utilizing sunlight with the help of chlorophyll pigment. But in this kingdom, few insectivorous plants. You may be heard about the insectivorous plant. There is a pitcher plant which is commonly called as Nepenthes. So Nepenthes, Drosera, etc. So these are the insectivorous plants, and these insectivorous plants are partially heterotrophic. whenever the insects comes and bites on that plant, they will be capturing that insect in order to obtain the nutrients from that insect. Only to obtain nutrients from that insect, they will be trapping the insects. That's why they are called as insectivorous. But they have the ability to prepare their own food. That's why I told you they are partially heterotrophic. So these are the examples. Drosera, Lepanthes are the examples for insectivorous plants. And few plants are parasites. Few plants are parasites. Example, Cuspida. You know, parasites are nothing but they will be taking food and shelter from the host organism. If this Cuspida plant, if it is growing on other plant, so this plant completely obtaining food and shelter from that host plant, that is called as parasites. So few are parasites also. But so they are mainly photoautotrophic. Only insectivorous plants, they are partially heterotrophic, and few are parasites. And whenever you look at the plants are usually fixed to the soil. So how they can able to fix it to the soil? So they are always fixed to the soil with the help of a root system. So all terrestrial plants have well developed root system. With the help of root system, they will be fixed to the soil. But some are aquatic and they are free floating. If they are free floating, they are usually floating on the surface of the water. And some aquatic plants are also they are fixed to the soil at the bottom of the water body. So this is about the certain features of this plant kingdom. And when you look at the cell structure, you may have studied about the plant cell, animal cell, etc. So when you look at the plant cell, the cells are usually covered with a cell wall. So cell wall is the characteristic feature of plants. Cells of plants are covered with the help of cell wall, and the chemical composition is very, very important. The cell wall is mainly made up of cellulose. So this is again important. The cells are covered with cell wall, and the cell wall is made up of cellulose. And within the cytoplasm, all membrane bound cell organelles along with the true nucleus is present. That's why they are called as eukaryotic organisms. And other than that, the reserve food material is also very, very important. In plants, the reserve food material is starch. See, we have reserve food material. There is either glycogen or fat. Similarly, plants also, they have stored form of food or energy. So that stored food in the form of starch. So plants have reserve food material in the form of starch. And another thing we can say about plant cell, the mature cells, they have large central vacuole. So when you draw a plant cell, so usually plant cells, they have cell wall. Cell wall is the outermost boundary in plant cell. And usually the nucleus is situated towards the periphery in plant cell because there is a large central vacuole. So this is the vacuole. That's why the nucleus is towards the periphery in case of plant cell. And when you observe the reproduction, so reproduction in case of plants can able to reproduce vegetatively. The vegetative mode of reproduction is common. So how vegetative reproduction takes place? For example, whenever a plant, a vegetative part of the plant body is separated, and when that falls on suitable substratum, that vegetative part can able to grow into a new plant. Usually, you observe that the seeds will be sown in the soil, later it will give rise to a new plant. But vegetative mode of reproduction means not from the seed. So, any vegetative part, it may be a root, it may be a shoot, it may be a leaf, any vegetative part can develop into a new plant. Such type of vegetative reproduction can be seen in plants. And asexual mode of reproduction. Asexual, without the fusion of gametes, without the fusion of haploid male and female gametes, such type of asexual reproduction can be seen in some lower plants. Especially in case of algae, we will be seeing that asexual mode of reproduction. And the plants commonly they reproduce by sexual mode of reproduction. So in the sexual mode of reproduction, they have haploid male gamete fused with the haploid female gamete, formation of diploid zygote. So that is the sexual mode of reproduction. And very importantly, all plants show a alternation of generation. Alternation of generation. So this is another important characteristic feature of plants. All plants exhibit alternation of generation. So what is this alternation of generation? See, in all plants, in the life cycle of all plants, they have two phases. One is sporophytic phase and other one is gametophytic phase. So all plants have, in their life cycle, they have two phases. One is sporophytic phase, other one is gametophytic phase. And you should remember, the sporophytic phase is always diploid and gametophytic phase is always haploid. That's why we will say, in this alternation of generation, the plants in their life cycle, they have two phases, a diploid sporophytic phase and a haploid gametophytic phase. Both alternates with each other. So if the main plant body is sporophyte, that sporophyte later produces gametophyte. Again gametophyte gives rise to sporophyte. If the main plant body is gametophyte, it later produces sporophyte. Likewise, in any plant life cycle, these two phases are compulsory. The sporophyte alternates with gametophyte, or else the gametophyte alternates with sporophyte. Let me take an example. When you see a hibiscus plant, actually hibiscus, the main plant body is a diploid sporophyte. Actually, what is sporophyte? Sporophyte is nothing but the spore producing plant body. You will study in the plant kingdom chapter, microspore, megaspore, likewise you will study. So if it produces spores, it may be a microspore or megaspore. If it produces a spore, that plant body is called as sporophytic plant body. If the plant body, main plant body, if it produces gametes, male and female gametes, that plant body is called as gametophytic plant body. So in hibiscus plant I am saying, so hibiscus, the main plant body is called as sporophyte because initially it produces microspore and megaspore. Later the spores develops into a male and female gametophyte. So all these things you will study in the plant kingdom chapter only. So there you can clearly understand. But now you just remember, so all plants exhibits alternation of generation. What is this alternation of generation? Plants life cycle have two phases. A diploid sporophytic phase alternates with haploid gametophytic phase. This phenomena is called as alternation of generation. So all plants will exhibit this alternation of generation. And further, this plant kingdom is divided into 5 divisions. You know, when you observe the taxonomic hierarchy, kingdom followed by division, then class, order, family, genus, species. Likewise, here this kingdom Plantae is later further divided into 5 divisions, namely algae, bryophytes, pteridophytes, gymnosperms and angiosperms. So these are the 5 divisions in the kingdom Plantae, respectively algae, bryophytes, pteridophytes, gymnosperms and angiosperms. About all these 5 divisions you will study in the plant kingdom chapter. So this is about the salient features of kingdom Plantae. Let me repeat the points which we have discussed in this class. So here kingdom Plantae, which includes multicellular, macroscopic eukaryotes, and they are usually autotrophic, especially they are photoautotrophic because they have photosynthetic pigment called as chlorophyll. With the help of chlorophyll, by utilizing sunlight, they can prepare their own food. But insectivorous plants are partially heterotrophic because they will trap insects in order to obtain the nutrients, but they can prepare their own food. And some cell wall is mainly made up of cellulose, and the reserve food material in plants is starch. And the reproduction, they reproduce vegetatively, asexually as well as sexually. But the main thing is alternation of generation. A diploid sporophytic phase is alternating where they have ploid gametophytic phase. And all plants will exhibit this alternation of generation. So this is about kingdom plant. Now we will discuss about kingdom animalia. Yeah, kingdom animalia. So this kingdom animalia, it includes the multicellular, eukaryotic and heterotrophic animals. So kingdom animalia includes multicellular, even here also they are made up of many number of cells, and they are eukaryotes. If they are eukaryotes, they have true nucleus and membrane bound cell organelles, and they are heterotrophic. They are heterotrophic animals. So here we cannot say autotrophic mode of nutrition. Animalia, all animals exhibit heterotrophic mode of nutrition. They are mainly dependent on other organisms, and we can say that they are either directly or indirectly dependent on plants. Yeah, we also directly or indirectly dependent on plants. How we are directly dependent on plants? If you are eating a plant products, if you are eating vegetables, fruits, spinach, etc., you are directly dependent on plants. Then how you are indirectly dependent on plants? If you are eating a goat, goat, it is a herbivore, it will eat plants. So goat is mainly dependent, directly dependent on plant, and we are indirectly dependent on plant, because if we eat a goat, so that goat, it has been eaten the plant. So it has eaten the plant. That's why we are indirectly dependent on plants. So we are both directly and indirectly dependent on plants. So in this kingdom, this is very important. They are heterotrophic organisms. And this kingdom Animalia, it is the largest kingdom because about 1 million species can be seen in this kingdom Animalia. And they are found everywhere. We will say cosmopolitan. If they are present everywhere in all types of habitat, they are called as cosmopolitan. Yes, animals can be seen in almost all habitat. Then, when you observe the structure, cell structure, if you remember the animal cell, do you find any cell wall in case of animals? Here, very importantly, cell wall is absent. Cell wall is absent. So they have cells, but cell wall is absent. And which is the outermost boundary in an animal cell? As the cell wall is absent, cell membrane is the outermost boundary in case of animal cell. Here cell wall is absent, and the outermost boundary of the cell is cell membrane. And here another thing, growth. You have studied in the living world chapter. See, growth is indefinite in case of plants, because we can say it is growth is continuous. So growth will be occurred continuously in case of plants. But do you think that continuous growth in case of animals? Here it is, growth is definite. We will say growth is definite. Growth is definite or limited. There is no growth after maturity, after attaining maturity. So see, after attaining maturity, in all animals, the growth will be limited. There is no growth after their maturity. But we cannot say like in case of plants. So here growth is continuous, here growth is limited or definite. And cell wall is absent, cell membrane is the outermost boundary. Then again, as I said, as they are heterotrophic mode of nutrition, they are either directly or indirectly dependent on plants. Mostly they are directly or indirectly dependent on plants, and most of them have injective or holozoic mode of nutrition. They have injective or holozoic mode of nutrition. So what is this holozoic mode of nutrition? If Digestion occurs inside the internal cavity or within the internal cavity. See, we are the example for holozoic mode of nutrition, because whenever we eat the food, then the digestion will be occurring in an internal cavity. If digestion occurs in an internal cavity, such type of nutrition is called as holozoic mode of nutrition. Majority of the animals, they have this type of nutrition, that is intrusive or holozoic mode of nutrition. And the reserve food material. The reserve food material in animals, it may be either glycogen or fat. Glycogen or fat, it is the reserve food material in case of animals. Then another important characteristic feature of animalia or animals is that locomotion. So locomotion is one of the unique feature of kingdom Animalia, because the animals they show locomotion or movement with the help of different locomotory organs. See, we use legs for the locomotion. Likewise, many different organisms they use different types of locomotory organs. That's why animals they show locomotion or movement with the help of different locomotory organs. Then response to stimuli. Response to stimuli. Usually the higher animals they have sensory and neuromotor mechanism. Sensory and neuromotor mechanism. So what is this sensory and neuromotor mechanism? For example, when we touch an hot object, so we will feel that, we can sense that a hot nature. So as we sense that one, so that impulse will be immediately transferred to our central nervous system. So here neuromotor is the central nervous system, and sensory we are sensing that feel. So that is called as response to stimuli. Here most of the animals, especially higher animals, they have sensory and a neuromotor mechanism. With the help of sensory and neuromotor mechanism, they can quickly respond to the external stimuli. When we touch the hot object, we will immediately remove our hand or take back our hand, because we will feel that hot nature, that impulse will be transmitted to our central nervous system. That's why we will immediately take back our hand. That is called as a response to stimuli. Not only we, I am saying higher animals, so they can able to respond to external stimuli. Then reproduction. So here we cannot say vegetative reproduction. Here asexual reproduction can be seen in lower forms. So asexual reproduction that can be seen in certain lower animals. But most of the animals they reproduce sexually by the formation and fusion of haploid male and female gametes. So most of the animals they exhibit the sexual mode of reproduction by the formation and fusion of haploid male and female gametes. So these are the unique features of kingdom Animalia. Here the organisms are multicellular, eukaryotes, and they are heterotrophic animals. And here the cell wall is absent and the outermost boundary is the cell membrane, and they are present everywhere, cosmopolitan in distribution, and growth is definite. There is no growth after attaining maturity. And the mode of reproduction is heterotrophic. They are directly or indirectly dependent on plants for obtaining nutrition, and most of them have intrusive or holozoic mode of nutrition. So holozoic refers to the digestion which occurs in the internal cavity, and the reserve food material is glycogen or fat, and they exhibit locomotion or movement with the help of different locomotory organs. And higher animals can able to respond to external stimuli with the help of sensory and neuromotor mechanism. And finally reproduction. Asexual reproduction can be seen in lower forms, and sexual reproduction will be brought about by the formation and fusion of haploid male and female gametes. So this completes the remaining two kingdoms, that is kingdom Plantae and kingdom Animalia. But here we have discussed only 7 features in detail we will study in the respective chapters. So this completes all the correct answer is option D. That is both A and B. Bladder goat and Venus flytrap both are insectivorous plants. Next question. Kingdom Plantae includes option A. Algae and bryophytes, option B. Pteridophytes and gymnosperms, option C. Angiosperms, option D. All of these. You know, so all of these are, that is correct answer. D is the correct answer because Kingdom Plantae includes all these. Next one, third question. Plant cells have all except. So here they have given certain characteristic features which can be seen in plant cells except one. So plant cells have all except. See option A, chloroplast, option B, cellulosic cell wall, option C, large vacuole, option D, centriole. So in plant cell you will find the presence of chloroplast, fine, and they are mainly made up of cellulose. So they have cellulosic cell wall and they have large central vacuole also. But option D, centriole. Yes, centrioles are absent in case of plant cell. Then where they are present? They are usually present in animal cell. Centrioles are the characteristic feature of animal cell. If you remember the animal cell, see in this animal cell, the nucleus is situated in the center. Very near to nucleus, you will find the presence of two centrioles. One is situated horizontally and other one is situated vertically like this. So centrioles are the characteristic feature of animal cell, but they are absent in plant cell. So option D. Next, fourth question. Alternation of generation is seen in all except. So alternation of generation can be seen in all plants. We'll see the options. Option A, fucus, option B, sphagnum, option C, equisetum, option D, alternarium. Here, fucus. So this fucus belongs to brown algae. It belongs to algae. If it belongs to algae, then algae belongs to Kingdom Plantae. So it will exhibit the alternation of generation. And option B, sphagnum. Actually, sphagnum belongs to bryophyta. So bryophytes also exhibit alternation of generation. Option C, equisetum. Equisetum belongs to pteridophyta. So that pteridophyte also exhibit alternation of generation. And option D, alternaria. So this alternaria, it belongs to Kingdom Mycota. So alternaria belongs to Kingdom Mycota. So there we cannot find this alternation of generation. So option D is the correct answer. Next, last question. Life cycle in plant has generally two distinct phases, dash sporophytic and the dash gametophytic, that alternates with each other. This phenomenon is called as alternation of generation. So they have given option A, diploid, diploid, option B, diploid and haploid, option C, haploid and diploid, option D, haploid and haploid. Here I will read that question once again. Life cycle in plant has generally two distinct phases. So dash sporophytic. So sporophytic